Hi, everybody. It's Dawn coming to you with another episode of Out of the Spiritual Closet with Dawn and the Angels and the Akashic. And I'm here today to talk a little bit about some of the parts that make us up, right? And I don't know if you've heard of this terminology, but it's called your inner child. So we have different aspects of our being because as human beings, we are multidimensional beings, right? And we have all these components that make us whole and that make up our whole person, right? The inside, the outside, and everything else going on in between. So, in some spiritual communities, you may have heard the terms bodies, right? Or parts, or there's a lot of different terms for it. But the one I'm going to use today is bodies. So, when we talk about bodies, we're talking about the aspects of ourselves. So, we have a physical body, that's what's sitting right here in this moment in time. We have a mental body, that's all of our thoughts. We have an emotional body that harbors all of our feelings. We have a spiritual body, which is our part that can connect with creator, with source, with divine, with God, with whatever you believe in, right? Your spiritual self. We have an egoic self. And then last but not least is our inner child. And our inner child is the part of us that can find joy in snow falling down and catching it on our tongue, or that can delight in watching the stars or the clouds, or in pretty flowers, or in those simple moments in time. And I'm really simplifying who the inner child is, but the inner child is also the person and the part of you that can hold old hurts, that can hold old limitations. And so many times there are situations and things that happen during our course of development before we're 7 years old, before we're 14, before we're 21, and so on. And those things can impact us in our day to day lives. Our inner child aspect may not feel safe because of X, Y, or Z. Now, sometimes these are real situations where you were never shown that. But other times it may be because whenever mom left the room, your little brother poked you or pinched you or tickled you. I'm oversimplifying, but it can be a real thing, or it could be something that was just really big to that little kid, right? And they didn't have the tools to understand it. So, an inner child also, we can do some work to release old thoughts, limits, patterns, behaviors, and hurts, like really the hurts, right? Um, some people may feel that they are not worthy because as a child, they didn't feel worthy because of the things that were said to them, done to them, how they weren't respected. Now, I know there's a lot of talk out there right now about Generation X, where the generation sliding under the radar and this and that. But many people in Generation X carry some heavy wounds, right? We were taught to don't cry, we'll give you something to cry about. Children are to be seen and not heard, but they didn't really even want to see it, right? You should go sit over there. And I'm generalizing. I'm not saying that was my experience 100% or whatever, but I was alive and I did see how the majority of us were raised. So anyways, there's that piece. So when we look at our inner child, we can comfort, love, give a different lens to look at these situations, right? We can give compassion to our inner child. Maybe you screwed up a lot as a teenager, and even as an adult, you're still paying the price. But maybe you screwed up a lot because you didn't feel X, Y, and Z, and you didn't have opportunities of this and this and this. So we can also look back on those situations with some compassion, like what else was gonna happen, right? It was a train wreck waiting to happen. So working with the different aspects of yourself, specifically the inner child, starts giving you some tools to change the needle in your present day life. And that's why we go back to these bodies, to these old thoughts, these old emotions, because they are still affecting your reality. If you're still playing that scenario in your head, if you still have that belief, it's still affecting your day to day reality. I don't care if it happened 50 years ago, right? And so just when you are working with your inner child, or if you want to work with your inner child, the first thing that you want to do is bring a sense of humor, because your inner child is usually got a lot of funny stuff to share with you and a lot of insights about yourself. And then the other part would be to also to understand that we're going to look at these things with the lens of compassion. So even if you have these old memories on your own and you're doing some journaling work to release it, make sure that you shine a little love back on that inner child and give a little bit of compassion for who they were in that moment and what they believed in that moment. Okay. So I hope this helps in some way, shape, or form. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.